So this is something weird that I'm going to do this morning, but I'm actually preparing for a webinar that I'm going to run with a fantastic MENA mid-September. And so I've decided to record myself and then later upload my part as in like my practicing to YouTube because I still find it a fantastic content and I want to learn. And there is no way to learn better than to actually put yourself out there and just, share it with the world. So, yeah, this webinar is going to be about what happens after you've been laid off and the crisis that follows you. And it's about how sometimes people need to pick up the pieces of their professional crisis. And I'm going to have 20 minutes to share my story, which is unlike Mena's story, more of a dynamic one because Mena is a resilience and burnout coach, and I am more on the active side. And taking action has always helped me overcome complications. And if there's anything I need to learn is how to actually be more chill and do less. So I'm here to share my story. And actually, it's more about practicing my part when the real webinar is happening. So, yeah, let's start. This is really a personal story of rebuilding myself after being laid off. And just so you know something about me, 1 year ago, I was laid off from an ad tech company in Berlin. It was a big layoff. And I had to learn tons about the legal side of things. I had to learn a lot about how companies treat employees. It wasn't so bad, but it wasn't nice either. And for me to figure out what to do with unemployment benefits, with my next step, with my entire universe, which was 80%, it was my job. And after I've been laid off, all of a sudden my team was not really in touch. And it's not because they're bad people, but because the company is going through a crisis, and there is a thing called like survivor guilt of some kind. And my team also wasn't functioning well together because it has been just randomly through together. And I really struggled the last year. And I also had my line manager, who changed like 1 month before I was laid off, you know, told me she would write a LinkedIn recommendation, never did. So I was really felt with the feeling that I was not good enough. And I never really showed it because I'm not this type of person. So I powered through, and it wasn't a good idea retrospectively. So 1 year later, my mental health was hit. Living in a limbo was tough. And it was the impact that it had on my mental health was deeper than I expected. And so my body kind of transitioned from one survival mode to another survival mode. So I just kept on running. Instead of taking a break, I kept on running. I started a startup, like won a hackathon. I stayed busy. And I never truly rested. So my nervous system was always running, and I never got a vacation, which I, to this day, truly find sad because this would have been the place. However, I learned a lot about the startup ecosystem and how it all works. And 1 year later, I can say it really hits you harder than you think. Working in a company that is in a limbo, working in a company when the entire country, Germany, is being anxious about losing their money and being in a crisis. I stayed in survival state far longer than I realized, and it really didn't help me. So, if there is any advice that you're willing to take from me, is that it's not really that scary. Like, it really, your body is going through a lot, but in the end of the day, 1 year later, I see that it wasn't my team, the company. Really, I'm looking at all of this. And 1 year in being a founder now, being self-employed, I'm just realizing how much of a present it was for me to move on, and that actually I was finally laid off. And what I wish I would have done back then is understanding that yes, the possibilities are endless, but it doesn't mean that you have to work yourself to the ground. A layoff is a place that gave me truly and just extended my view and horizons in a way, because I don't come from a household of founders and entrepreneurs. We've always been like my family, employees, employee mindset, always dependent on somebody. And and here I was, the first one who left her home country. So I left Russia 16 years ago for Germany, for Berlin. And this layoff forced a moment of clarity, which was like, is employment really the only way to go? And I also used this time to stop and think about why was my role impacted. So mostly my role was impacted because of the social balance, but also because I wasn't truly enjoying it. I was good, like my hard skills were the best. I was the fastest. I understood. I was a research operations manager. I understood research the best because I was a UX researcher, still doing that. And my team basically did not consist of those people, and research operations was rather seen as something anybody could do, which is not wrong entirely, but the quality of work that I saw was just not good enough. And I saw what was in my control. So if I would have wanted to keep the job, I would have done different things. So I had to face myself and caught myself on bullshit, such as I wasn't a great individual contributor because there has been many things that didn't work in a company. And if you are a loyal damn employee, you should suck it up, forget your resentment, and move on and be agile and show up consistently. This is something that I stopped doing the moment I realized that what was going on in the org and specifically in my team. I was like, I got better things to do. So I owned my shit. I also owned where I was treated very unfairly. I owned my mistakes. I owned my contributions, and I understood, well, fuck, you know what? Wasn't a good place for me. And I owned all of it. And it was hard for me because, in a way, we always want to be like, well, it wasn't my fault. Think about it, really. Was it or was it not? So, because only from this clean slate, like radical honesty, can you truly grow from this experience? And I use a question also in my mentorship. I ask people, well, if you were paying your own salary out of your own pocket, would you have paid it? And the goal here is not to blame anyone, but to be truly honest. Like, sometimes we didn't do so well. Sometimes we didn't love what we were doing. Sometimes we could have been better in conflict resolution. And most of us, we're human beings. We become resentful when we don't get salary increase. We become resentful because our boss is a dick. I did that. I was resentful and I own this. And based on that, I realized, you know what? I was really good. I was in the wrong team and I couldn't get out. Like, my director said, no, you stay there. And I realized I was stuck in my zone of like where I had zero control, and it was really painful. So I owned all that, and I realized that agency is real and it's all yours. So I truly, truly embrace the fact that being a victim is a choice. So if you, like me, are being laid off in Germany, there's so much you can do. You can negotiate higher severance. You can proactively decide what to do next with your career, how you can change, how you structure your day to day. All of that. This is all where we tend to roll into the victim role, such as, oh, well, whatever they give me, I'm not going to fight for better severance. I'm not going to fight for better exit conditions. And fight it might be the wrong word here, because what I truly want to tell you is that negotiate for your own benefit, And this is a tough time, and it's totally fine to be a mess a little bit. But ultimately, understanding that there are so many things that are 100% in your area of control, especially taking on leadership, because you're being laid off, right? Or like now, maybe you're being unemployed. There are so many things where you are truly 100% in control. And it sounds vague, but what I'm trying to tell you is that being in a leadership role of your own non-exit of your own role, unemployed role, you own your own narrative. That means you are in a leadership position. You reach out to your network and you make yourself a leader of your network. Your next move, it's all on your terms. How you leave too, like it's in Germany, you have so many rights and people pretend not to go there because it's scary. Well, guess what? The more agency you get from this experience, the better you feel moving forward, because you don't just fold. And putting yourself out there is also something where you put yourself in a leadership position and you don't need to ask permission from anybody to do that. You are unemployed. You can organize your own meetups if you don't find people you want to hang out with. You can truly mind your own network and look into your next move. And this is what was super tough for me, and it's called self-exposure as a practice. Because 1 year ago, I hated LinkedIn. I didn't have Instagram, Facebook, nothing. Instagram, Facebook, I still don't have. So a person that you see right now here who is uploading her shitty videos on YouTube would have been impossible, because 1 year ago, it's like, who would care about me? I don't even speak good English. If who cares about my opinions and who wants to hear from me? Like, no. And after 1 year of doing this constant self-exposure, like in real life and on the internet, I feel that it has helped me grow so much. And when I say self-exposure as a practice, I talk about in real life, like WhatsApp, whatever. You need to talk to people you know. And I don't mean talk to 5 people, like five besties from your last job or the job before. I'm I'm going to tell you what exactly I mean here. And talk to people you don't know. LinkedIn is in most cases, or depending on what it is you want to do, you have to pick your social media so you start to build your own audience and be more in charge. So, and here when it gets tricky and very interesting, because it only truly works when you don't just automate your narrative on social media and all your reaching out to your network with AI, but when you truly access it from an authentic point of view. And for that, you need to truly own your story. And I see it so many times when people have been laid off and they take it as something shameful, or they don't, they don't own it. They don't live inside their story. And the funniest thing that I've noticed, the less polished you show up, the more people relate to you, because guess what? We're all a mess. And so many people have been laid off. And if you show up authentically, sharing your story, sharing your opinion, sharing what has happened to you, you become more relatable. And the moment you start pretending you don't have any imperfections and you just move into your LinkedIn version of yourself, you make it so hard for others to relate. Hence, you kind of push yourself into being in a very protected type of environment where your feelings cannot get hurt because you never make yourself vulnerable. And this is exactly what kept people from moving forward and becoming better and landing better roles or becoming better founders. Because they said, here I am the way I am, I was laid off. And the moment I stopped chasing people's approval and be, I got this, it's insane. Like, people who knew me started coming to me with some gigs and proposals of who I can work with. And at the end of the day, I wasn't even getting the job opportunities, even though I wasn't looking for a job, just because I said, hey guys, I can do that. And I was laid off, and here I am. And this was such a learning that it didn't make me a worse person, but it made me a relatable person where people actually came to share and ultimately wanted to work with me. And cringe and fear of rejection and vulnerability is a real thing. I hated it. And still sometimes when I post a video um, or share my story openly in an event or something, or LinkedIn post, I feel so vulnerable, and it's like opening up your heart and it's open for all the spits that can come there. However, it's usually never the case, because people who are cruel to you, they don't deserve your attention. And people who mind about you sharing and being who you are, they don't matter. But people who really they connect with you, they matter the most. And you cannot be liked by everybody. And cringe is the real thing. And as you can see here, not everybody likes him, for example. And this is Elvis Dan Presley, and that's super okay. And people tell me, well, Anna, if I post on LinkedIn or go and network authentically without pretending I'm someone I'm not, no one will like me for the real me. And this is just not true, because we live in a culture of scarcity, and especially like after being laid off, it hit me so hard. I thought, fuck, I wasn't good enough, until I realized, no, I'm actually fine. And it took a lot of courage for me to tell my story openly, to actually, yeah, empower myself in a way. And when I say mind your network, I really, really mean it. Like, it should be minimally like 100 people, where you check your phone, you check your LinkedIn, you check your everything, and find 100 people whom you can reach out to, saying, hey, I've been laid off, and now my next step is this and that. Whom do you know with whom I can speak? Or would you like to grab a coffee maybe? This has been an ultimate boost for combating my fear of rejection and invisibility, because guess what happened? People started showing up, and people started showing up with gigs, with partnership proposals, with other people who are in a similar situation. So it really redefined how I see my network, because some people who were supposedly my besties at work really weren't any help at all. And some people whom I thought, "Ah, we weren't back together 7 years ago, they don't care." that I still send a message, and then they came back with fantastic help, and we have, like, I've revived some friendships, and this was fantastic. And I truly believe that this is something that a lot of people can do. And when people think about, oh, well, but firstly, I need to have it figured out first, everything. So they want to go the normal way. And this is bullshit. Like, normal way, if you just hide yourself and and think that it will work, well, yes, it will work sooner, rather later than sooner. But if you go the cringe way, such as, hey, this happened to me, and this is my reality, and this is my truth, and you do that honestly, your process of getting through the layoff, through your job search or your founding journey, whatever it is you want to do, people notice and people help. So the cringe way just brings you there faster. You learn faster. You create clarity through action. And when you do that, I truly think that it's important to prioritize your internal values over external values, meaning how you feel and how you grow and your connections that you make are way more important than shitty social media algorithm engagement metrics. No one cares. Through writing, through putting yourself out there, there is a certain internal journey that you're doing. You're getting to know yourself, right? And this matters most, and this will motivate you to continue. Whereas, complicated word, if you do it only following the external factors, such as how much money did I make, how many comments, how many engagements, how many saves on LinkedIn, bullshit. Like, there is no way that it will just keep you going. You should have something stronger, a community, a mentor, your true dedication to self-development. So I truly think, if you would like an advice, social media metrics will become very important if you are a social media manager or you are becoming a business and you really need to track those. But if you are in a vulnerable position and you are rebuilding yourself after a layoff, internal values, connections, relatability is something that matters way more than all of those metrics. And yeah, based on that, actually, I just realized that yeah, it's my community is now 5 months old and it's called Laid Off and Fabulous. And this is a community and an ecosystem, and mostly internationals, but also we also have local German people inside. With that community, I wanted to reframe the narrative that being laid off doesn't mean you're less worthy. It's a chance to redefine. And I've realized that actually I've built a community for myself. I really felt lost. My self-worth was very low, and I worked at my last company for 4 years, and the way they laid me off was like really, really questionable, and I really didn't feel valued. And I felt that my professional self-worth was just really destroyed. And people from my last job also didn't help much, even though, like, I have some people who are still friends and good ones too, but they left the company. So for me, creating a space where people who were laid off came and shared openly, it helped me heal myself too. And because I actually put up quite a fight when I was being laid off, like I said that I didn't sign the termination agreement because I wasn't agreeing to the terms. I became kind of an expert, and this became my first product. Like, really, people come to me to help them negotiate higher severance. I found a lawyer partner in Germany. And so community really, really helped me to understand what my next step is. And this is my story of how I was able to flip this concept of being laid off had nothing to do with me. And now that 1 year in, I understand this was a fabulous time. I could have done it better, but I used this window to do something else. And I just realized I am not my job title. Community was fantastic. And my story that I have proactively started writing is still being written by me. And I really wish, guys, that your I really wish that it was helpful for you. My story, Mana's story, being laid off is something that we don't talk about. We kind of prefer to just hide it somewhere so no one sees, and we just jump into the next similar role without taking the time. And if there are five things that I want you to take away from this. The first one is to honor your nervous system. It's really important because right now we kind of normalize being laid off, but for the body and for the nervous system, it's still a hit. And we just kind of want to suppress it, but it doesn't work. So be kind to yourself and be honest to yourself too. Ask hard questions and be honest and very, very self-compassionate with yourself. And when you have this, you're being kind and honest with yourself, you can start owning your life more and take the agency. You are a leader. You're unemployed, laid off, whatever, but you're still a leader of your own life. And your job search or your foundership journey, whatever it is like your campaign and you're a boss of it. So waiting for somebody to decide your life over you might not be the best choice anymore. You're unemployed. You're the boss. And by putting yourself out there, you build confidence, you combat your fear, and you open doors that you didn't know existed. And it was the case for me. And you are welcome to join the community. It's mostly like most of my people are in Berlin, but you're still welcome to join. And you're very welcome to have an intro with me to ask about my services I call it services in unlocking your fabulousness, but it's about how you want to reposition yourself, how you want to design your self-exposure and all of that. Please book an intro with me. I am not coming here with a package of this is what it costs because every person needs a different one. So we can just have an intro and see how I can help. And thank you very much. Now let me stop the recording. Yeah, so I'm gonna rewatch this and see how I can do this better during the webinar. And I'm also gonna upload this to YouTube because I feel funny today. Thank you. I'm gonna drop the link to the webinar.